Alright, hello and welcome to the Stanley Parable, and it's showing my mouse cursor. Is it supposed to be doing that? Okay, so this is the game shows it. Since he unlocked the quote-unquote sequel afterward, I figure I should save it for the next stream. Now we're here. And since it started on another thing here, I figure before we get started, can I just say something? Thank you for actually setting it both times you boot up the game. A lot of people don't actually take that seriously. They just leave it at 12 and call it a day. But you're actually taking the time to set it, and I appreciate that. Care about this experience. They're paying attention. I don't even have any way of knowing if the times you're setting are actually correct. Tell you what, to make your deal. Since you've been cooperative, next time you boot up the game, set the fuck your favorite time. Go ahead, pick. Even if it's not correct, you've earned it. Alright, let's get back to the game now. Yeah, when it asked me to boot up, part of the things it asked me to do was to set it up. Alright, so begin the game. We're going to dive right in.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Gmail lock will come back.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure.
I was wondering about this last time, but...
What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer
just a
had
few
the ability
hours.
to tell.
I mean, we have a clock right
the one
here.
thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come.
We'll just
Eventually,
wait.
Someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Just restarts. Yeah, that's about what I expected, if we're gonna be completely honest.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement?
Yes.
Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
Yeah, I was doing this one because I forgot. Oh yeah, there's an achievement that directly says click on 435 times for it.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
Four. I suppose it.
Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
Oh.
Stanley picked up the bucket. Okay, great. Now, go touch the bucket on door 437 a few times.
437. Oh.
Yes, now we're getting somewhere. How about door 415? Give it some bucket love.
I did get the welcome back achievement, but that's literally just, that achievement is just, close the game and open it up again.
Now back to door number 437. You know, I think the copy machine needs some attention. Why don't you rub the bucket on it a bit? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere. Okay, now bring the bucket on top of employee 419's desk. Yes, this is great. Now the bucket knows exactly what it's like to be employee 419. Now, let's introduce it to door 416. We've almost got it. Now make the bucket and the copy machine touch again. Finish it off, Stanley. 5 touches of the bucket on door 430. Yes! We did it! Wow! That felt amazing. You know, not all buckets will get this kind of experience. They won't all know what it's like to slam repeatedly against nearly every door in one section of an office building, or what it's like to be employee 419. Buckets may dream. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
We care about you, Stan.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere.
The bucket.
The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Closet. Aw, it's not the same with the narrator not berating me for being in the broom closet.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next?
Raw assets map 2, function rotating. Oh, the song again.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
I'm pretty sure I know what that meme is, but I can't make it out because it's too small. This room is not even textured. What the crap? Apparently the Adventure Line is a living thing going by the first playthrough we did here.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me, it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not.
I don't know, the Broom Closet's
Bucket
pretty...
Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the bucket destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the bucket destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Boom. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure if that little floor... You probably saw I was
Bucket
looking...
destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were
That was way funnier than it had any right to be. Alright, I don't know if that changes.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
I'll do a few more endings and go back to that one to see if it changes at all, based on whether or not I put the
Coming
bucket in
to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Can I still go into the executive bathroom? Yes, I can. Ooh.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Alright. We're gonna just follow the instructions this time. This is new. Business strategy. Yeah, looks about right for a large company. Now let's see here. What do I want to do next? I'll experiment in a bit, but I'm glad this is open now, then.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
I'm gonna be honest, the bucket guiding him does not sound out of place given everything that's gone on in this game so far. Ooh.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Alright, so all those places that were a bit out of the way but didn't lead anywhere major is those are probably where I can expect to find these Stanley
The
figurines.
elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
I think last time I made the mistake of trying to do the variants of each ending, but that might have made it a bit repetitive, so I'm going to be mixing it up a bit more this time.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with
Hopefully that'll be
television
okay.
screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped,
If those are 427.
monitored like guinea pigs.
I think it's 427.
The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
The bucket is certainly adding a whole extra layer to all this.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system. Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True,
It's
it was
completely
a simple
different
life they
where I was when I
envisioned,
pushed the button.
but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support. What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty.
We might be able to
until
jump
finally
it.
the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket. or go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting
Figurine
room.
Finders
Perhaps he had
Committee
simply missed a
meeting
memo.
today.
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
There will be a reward for finding them all. Stop kidding yourselves. I want them so much. I want to go home. There will be cleaning of this wall required. Who are you? Looks like 427. Ha ha ha. 5 there be. Just take from me. You gotta collect them all. Get inside of sequel exhibit. Large room. Lots of boxes. Places to search. Somewhere both red and blue stairs. Okay, so this is telling me where to get them. Piglies are hard to find. All the clues provided by employee 4. Thank you, good luck. Oh, I didn't realize this had all changed. Maybe we are the collectables. Shut the frick up. How can we find them? Bottom text. I did think with how much it kept insisting there won't be a reward for them, makes me wonder if maybe there is. We know small folding objects appeared across the office. We have to synergize our resources to ensure their arrival. There are many questions and there was no memo from the management. Agenda. How can you tell you spotted one? What makes it float in the air? Oh, I guess that was to be a clue that one's in the executive bathroom, but I already got that one, so I'm in good shape. They're hard to find. Follow the clues. Red room. Well, I do remember a handful of areas that were seemingly to nowhere, and I think that's where they are now. Who may concern? I imagine pick up sounds unusual to our regular office maintenances or local audio sources using an array of cardioid microphones, also known as directional mic. A microphone which picks up sound from a particular area. Analysis of the recordings allowed me to triangulate the source of the noise. Data shows that in all likelihood it's coming from dark areas behind a very warm place. Also picked up what looks like a reverberance of porcelain off a porcelain surface. Any leads on this? Wouldn't you like to know? Yes, yes we would. Weird spinning figurines, artist rendering. What do they want? Money, our data, stock options. Should we make them interns? Maybe? Yes. Why do they kind of look like 427? Yeah, that's 427. That's us. That's Stanley. Warehouse access. Produce one plank to allow ease. Construct bridge to float. Retrieve Chris's remains from the warehouse floor. New structurally sound bridge. We need more plans. Why wouldn't they tell us something will happen? Trust the completionist instinct. Why wouldn't they just tell us something would happen? Investigation in this room feels pointless, to be honest. Bonus stuff, what we know, what we forgot, what we don't know yet. Do we need to contracts for them? NDA, potential liability. Saw one in the cargo room. Building a bridge. We sell them, obviously. More money if sold together. How many are there? Life-floating magic. Our quarterly success magnets. Dreams. Training exercise. Please do not leave the office before reporting back any new findings. Teamwork and communication are of great importance in this unprecedented time of investigation.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong.
A broom closet with an asshole the entire
This is your
time.
companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go.
Property of
There.
Stanley.
Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Now, if this thing about the staircase is correct, yep, I knew it'd be here.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by one? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours.
I believe this is just a loop now.
And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he
1, 2,
believed
B4.
everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket. Could it truly be?
Oh, the buckets are
He
showing
rushed
up.
forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. Come to me, Stanley. Find me. He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day,
Exactly the same as before, but she has a
the body of a
bucket.
man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket.
This man had no bucket.
Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
All these endings are absolutely out there, and I love it.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
Let me think.
And entered the door on his left.
I'm probably going to want to go on the right this time, I think. Just gonna...
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
It's quite a
And here
nice
it was.
lounge, I will
Had the
say.
bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Looks like the one down there is still going, although I'm pretty sure if I jump off, it just gives me the quick death ending, which I guess could be worth seeing once. But for the moment, let's go on the platform normally because I need to go to the other side.
Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him.
Okay.
It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
The dark room. Did I miss something? So, I guess this is fine. Let's see what's in here.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Alright, let's see if we can trust our bucket buddy.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him. The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Take me to work. Press O, take me back home with you.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Just like my bucket, I'm assuming. A hug. Z to go back to work.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Don't listen to the loud man.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Here it is on the stove. Ignore anyone in your life except me. Oh my, that's an abusive relationship,
Sad,
bucket.
but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley?
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
So is this Stanley's actual apartment? Because I remember when we supposedly saw the last one, it turned out to be fake because the narrator had been mocking us. Relive the same day with me over and over.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Home to work and work.
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No,
Oh
no,
my.
No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket?
Jazz
Hear what
music.
the
I thought there was a
has to
bucket in
say,
there.
Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't
Jazz
understand.
Nights once again has a bucket.
Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
There a bucket in this one? A bit more abstract, but I think there is. There's certainly one in all these others. Like, that almost looks like a bucket. That definitely is a bucket.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it, or I'll...
Go back to work, Stanley. Did the bucket just commit a murder? Alright, so what I think happened is the bucket it's
How
murdered
wonderful.
him.
Stanley was alone.
Yeah, the bucket murdered the
Finally.
narrator.
This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled.
Property
He'd
Stan.
never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Oh, I see there. Now, how do I get... Oh, I see where that is, but the question is, how do I get there without dying? Oh, I see. I saw something glowing, but I didn't
You're getting
Close
close
enough
now,
look.
Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler Anarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler Anarines. None of us can.
I don't think there's a way to go back, is there? Oh, there's a vent here. Where am I? There's a lot of cassette tapes. See what this is then, since it obviously wants me to play the cassette tape.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing.
Evidence number
feels real
252,
anymore.
it says.
The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it.
I suppose that is weird when you put it like that,
Still
yeah.
haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it.
Monetize it?
Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
It's not often we hear a voice that's not the narrator, so... That's not completely horrifying, is it? Look back.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure.
Guess we can try the other one now.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to
That
his
is the
chest
one where we tried to
and
turn
entered
the
door
mind
on his
control
left.
machine on. I tried for a while, but I was later confirmed somewhere between both red and blue. I think I know where that is, but we're not on the path to find that, so we'll just continue.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Things are definitely gonna get more wacky before they start making any sense, that's for sure. But this has definitely been a real trip. This game has been one big trip, I'm gonna say that much. But I mean that in a good way. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing another day of these if I didn't.
Stanley and the
genuinely
bucket
enjoy.
walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
I guess since this is functionally the part 2 for the Stanley Parable, the between red and blue it says, I think it's referring to the red and blue doors, which is a place I entered from when I went to the elevator and jumped off and went to the catwalk. So I'll have to go there to get it then. Although I still need to get the other endings first.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very
Yeah, even
nearly
ones where
burst
the
into
bucket is
tears
supposed to be,
as
it seems to
Stanley
react
called it
like a
gently,
person would.
reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No!
Oh, it
He
pushed
screamed
me
into the
in-
bucket. He
or was it
couldn't
pushing it
accept
down?
it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided
control
that
of it.
this machine... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror.
Bucket
Had this
did it.
been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds.
Silly birds.
Silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy. Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself. Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to
Okay, I
him.
still need to do the
It
other
should
one
have
on the other
alarmed him,
side.
of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious
I need
fact.
to unplug
He was firmly
the
convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here,
Said the bucket.
go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny,
I
Stanley.
mean, the bucket
A talking
murders the narrator
bucket.
in the other ending, so...
Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it, but there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's
Sitting
sitting
right
right
there.
here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing?
Stanley
What
Parable
is
Guide.
comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
No. I'm done here with the funny.
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Somehow that swerve at the end was not as shocking as I thought it
Hey,
would be.
goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
Like before, I can't walk off anymore.
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure.
Never actually
The
seen the
bucket
movie
spoke to
King of
Stanley.
But it was actually quite good.
Spoke. The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Is it gonna be just for warped hall again?
What? We're back at the phone already? No. What's going on? There was supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land, well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the 2 doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my... Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No. Here we go. You ready?
Alright, so it's looping like
When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2
it's a
open
bit
doors,
different, but it's
they entered
following the
door on
same
left.
beats as the original ending that this fall.
No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this was all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal. I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession
Stanley
with the bucket
behind
because
you,
the
it
whole
looks
point of
like.
this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
That reminds me. I've actually found out that this game is
All of
actually...
his co-workers were gone.
Apparently
What
this
did
game
it
originally
mean?
started as
Stanley
a
decided to go to
Half-Life
the
2
meeting
mod, I
room.
think,
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
and expanded from there. That's pretty neat. Kind of like how the Forgotten City was originally a Skyrim mod, but eventually
No matter
became
how
its own
hard
separate
Stanley
thing
looked,
about the
he
Roman
couldn't find a trace
Empire
of
and
his
such.
co-workers. A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction.
I was gonna say, are we going through a different set of balls?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered
Alright, we're gonna
the
go through the
door
elevator
left.
this time. Here's a reward. Might be able to get them all. Yeah, but I'm gonna go
Coming
down
to
the
a
executive
staircase,
elevator next.
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Not the secret elevator, the one over here. That seems about right for an evil company. Be a Captain Planet villain for absolutely no good reason. Right way? I hope so. Let's find out then. Let's say this game has been very delightful. Like I said, it's a complete trip, and I've been loving every moment of it. These are glowing. I'm guessing all this does is lead me to the Oh, I get the feeling money's for stealing, but not yours, of course. Say that's a lovely purse. Yeah, let's just start it real quick then, because the other main path is the oh my.
The embrace of an old friend, a weathered companionship that stands the test of time.
I guess they're changing up this whole walkway since the player has to go through it so many times.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes.
they're jumping
Go
off.
there. Go to the cargo lift. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Alright, so I need to jump off
Stanley
the right
did not
spot
question
here.
why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Yeah, we're on the catwalk now. Danger, danger everywhere. Danger, danger, high voltage.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose
what?
that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment. Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket.
This is going to be the
Okay, let's
Jigglypuff
begin.
scene from above joke because
Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
got something that's obviously not a
Item
bucket.
4.
And it's gonna say it
Is
is.
this a bucket? Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay.
Thank you for not making me look like an idiot.
Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
It's both.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless... Is that what you think?
Wait.
Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket?
What's a
What isn't a
bucket?
bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone?
Everything really
How
was a
did everything
bucket.
disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had
No idea.
How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what. I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Alright, so I actually have to not pick up the bucket if I want to go to the red and blue area, which I need to...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps too majestic, like a combination of a much smaller version and a much larger version of this exact room. It all made Stanley uncomfortable, and he started to bleed a little. This made him smile. At last, proof that he was human.
Oh, I guess that's why.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
Oh, I broke the voice clip. Whoops.
I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
No buckets at this point. Yeah, there's no way we can progress here.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Oh. Yeah, I figured it was between red and blue, so it has to be somewhere else. Here.
And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here, and now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Yeah, the fact it keeps insisting makes me question that. Made me question whether or not it was actually gonna have a reward or not, but alright.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked
it got moved right
through the
behind me.
red door.
I don't know why I didn't think to do this last time, but it makes sense. He clearly moved the door, but he didn't delete it completely.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place.
It's all just
Broken
default
rooms,
textures.
exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Oh, well, now this is useful. You didn't like it, but you didn't totally hate it either. You enjoyed it, perhaps is the correct term. It didn't cause you excruciating pain. Big steps we've made here today, Stanley. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Stanley Parable World Leaderboard. Good old Neil, Vola, Nacho, Hogarth, Skid. Doors open, steps taken, endings achieved. You know that The intro, only the worst 30% chose the blue door. I'm more attractive than Stan. How long did it take you to get the correct door? Complete against others for your Stanley Parable career. Why not ask friends for help? Error, friends list is empty. Yeah, none of the people who show up here are actually my friends list, so this game is generating stuff to kind of emulate it rather than acting like a full thing.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you?
I see no
Perfect.
reason why not.
Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the
Oh, so I was
demands
supposed to
of
have seen
family
this one
life.
before, so
I
that when he
think the
shows up in the
artwork will really
bucket
take
one,
notice.
that would make sense.
But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Playtest need to fail at least once.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me?
Well, I said
Because
since
if
I'm
it's the
playing
latter, well, I don't know
QR.
what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience.
I
for
said I
me.
was doing it for
I'm
QR
not even going to
purposes.
try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. It's over.
This is what I gets him to
Thank
give
you
up.
for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Oh, Firewatch!
Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our
Volunteer.
backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems
Oh,
there's
the
even
turtle
more.
isn't here.
Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Sadly, since I have followed some Let's Players I enjoy watching, some streamers and Let's Players go through this game, I don't believe I can do it sufficiently, especially since it's not very, it's a very linear game, yeah. So, unfortunately, there wouldn't be too much to react to, since I still remember a lot of the stuff from it. But I will say it was a good experience. And so yeah, I'd recommend it whether you want to try it yourself or watch someone else play it.
Oh no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it.
Well, it does have an actual
woods
sense of
now, Stanley.
orienteering you can do if you want.
Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
The Attack on Titan video game, perhaps?
Okay.
Although I guess that's
think
not
this
quite
will be
insurmountable,
just the thing.
but it prevents you from, at the very least, you don't want to.
Wonderful. See,
Oh,
this is
Rocket
exactly
League.
what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here.
I'm actually
Now,
genuinely surprised
this
they're able
is
to
game
put
design.
the name
Stanley,
right
if
in
you manage
here.
to get lost in this
But then
game,
again,
I
they seem
will
to be
be
copy and pasting
phenomenally
the maps
impressed.
directly, so. Phenomenally impressed.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must.
Narrator doesn't
Okay,
seem to know anything about
here's the ball.
sports. I
Have
mean, they know
fun.
even less about it than me, it seems. Oh, I'm moving faster all of a sudden. Fortunately, not being able to jump very much limits how much I can do how much I can do in this game, but
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this... Hold on. What are you doing?
hold on, what are you doing?
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
I'd make a backrooms joke, but this game predates that by a pretty good amount of time. Granted, the Ultra Deluxe could update to reference it, but it looks like the Ultra Deluxe is mostly a remaster, they said. It's not a proper remake, but it does seem to be... My understanding is that Ultra Deluxe is pretty much just the original, but with more content. That's why I ended up going with it. Wait, is this the Silent Hill 2 secret dog ending?
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Alright, now let me think. What endings have I not done yet? Sure, I've done most of them, but...
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things.
I was
It's
wondering,
just...
isn't that a
It's
picture?
those figurines. Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Now remembering when Stanley found the collectibles. Just in time, I was thinking I can't remember which endings are left that I need to do, since as we saw, they all vary based on whether or not I have the bucket with. 2013, when the Stanley Parable was released. Zone, Sweet Zone. Original, the Stanley Parable, buy it on Steam. Good time. Down here.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Seven out of 6, and he doesn't even comment on it.
Anything.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. Is it saying it's not connected? When I set up a problem? No, it looks like it's fine on my end. Odd.
Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
I'm pretty sure there was no room like this in the game prior to now. Walking over boxes, apparently.
This was the 5th mini-stand, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me,
oh, darn.
I made a little
Hopefully
video
it wasn't...
to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
How you found it? By the narrator. Hopefully it wasn't not for too long. What was that back there? It's mini stand number 5. This seriously reminds me of the mid-2000s YouTube, including the quality. Both of the video itself and the transitions. I love it. We found it near the cargo lift. For watching. Okay, yeah, that is going for a mid-2000 YouTube reference, because this is precisely how it worked. Best Boys starring Stanley. Cover the narrative.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
A lot of time on the video, but it is 8 minutes. Okay, that blocked it.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Oh, they both lead the same place. Well, that makes sense. This isn't a puzzle room. This is, you are in the present.
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone. No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen.
Oh,
Isn't
that's
there some way
clever,
we can
actually.
Stay here, keep enjoying these figurines. Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
I do like that they messed with the loading screen for that one. This game has been messing with just about everything, so even with the loading screen itself is a pretty clever way to continue the theme. Backward.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this.
Oh, nice, I can
I
still
must say,
collect
of
them.
all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more.
Yeah, I think that's because it was, yeah, I think that was because it's most recent, so. Although I will say, it caught me off guard with the, no buckets beyond this point. I genuinely wasn't expecting that, but I like that they kept that touch, because I remember that was there at the start as well. I just didn't think anything of it, since, it looked like all the other
And here's where
silly
I made
signs,
that
like
video.
danger everywhere.
Don't you remember the video we watched? Yes, I love that video. Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
I guess this one's in here to kind of throw you off a bit. Although it is a good time for it, since the last one is supposed as you choose between the third and fourth collected one.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Okay, this door's already closed, so it doesn't want me to go to the other one.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in
Dang,
the
I didn't
exhibit
realize
where I
it was,
introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
I guess we have no choice but to go through the exit now. Collect them all, can you... Oh, we're back in the, collectibles section, where the concept was first introduced.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories.
Had I known it would have... Eating all the jumps at the start there would mean no more for the future stuff, I wouldn't have used them all. Then again, maybe that's kind of the intent, that you accidentally use, too many.
Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory.
Where it all
this one.
started. And this time they'll leave the same place, the original starting office.
And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
The intro cutscene?
Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley. The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better... Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door.
I remember one ending I haven't done with the bucket, so I'll do that one next. It's the escape ending after the boss's secret room, so let's go that
no
one
one
next.
was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
Well, that's not berating me
Was
for
the bucket guiding
expediting it along this time.
Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Although I guess they only did that the one time to make fun of me, but they know. Alright, now it's time to go down and do the escape ending with the bucket and see how that changes things. And I think that'll actually be all the endings, unless I forgot something.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read,
Escape.
Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Wee. Wee.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death. It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket.
Focusing on the
It's
bucket.
true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing on the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we have. Will you take what you learn here out into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in the exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result? Will you turn a blind eye and continue lives as you were in the ignorance and darkness?
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
That's a lot of buckets. 25 buckets. I'm pretty sure that's way more than 25. A photograph of 25, the greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. I'm pretty sure that's way more than 25. Yeah. Way more than 25. I mean, you could tell at a glance, but I wanted to count it just to prove it. Bucket with 2 handles. This bucket's depicted as having 2 handles. Such designs never been created in real life, as being deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Everywhere, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. Inferno Bucket. A replica of the Inferno Bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and in spite of that all, the simple fact remains, no one can control a bucket. The stress bucket analogy. Worrying, negative forecasting, negative thinking, lack of reassurance. Vulnerability equals size and strength of the bucket. Coping strategies equals holes, rest and relaxation, doing something enjoyable. Yeah, stress equals the level of water in the bucket, the stress bucket. Presented without commentary. Well, I guess that would make sense. The commentary is entirely in the image itself. Cave drawing. While we know the buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery and practical uses of bucket, by which time the bucket has already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket's allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
A hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, yet more is always out of reach. This distance inevitably is for our own good. I'm imagining. Oh. Guess I'm supposed to take it. So I thought I was gonna fall in the
But
pit.
there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Alright, so it seems like so far there's 3 voices in total, 3 different narrators. It's certainly an experience, that's for sure. Alright, let me think. Was there an ending with the bucket I missed? I want to get all of them while I can, but luckily I remember most of the web, I think. Sadly, none of these computers put input, so I can't do something like input console command or anything goofy like that. could close the door, but I can't get the bucket before coming back in here, so I don't think this ending has...
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
There's something in that room, but how do I get over there?
Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed. Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No, 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 no. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. Stanley clutched the
Oh
bucket.
yeah, I still need to do the jump off to your death ending. Let's see if that changes based on whether or not we have the bucket.
Calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now,
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
That's thing. Oh,
All
but
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps
alright, maybe
he
I
had
need
simply
to.
missed
The
a memo.
solution here is the input.
It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward.
Alright, let me see if there's another input.
Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone?
Sing something. Maybe I should have done the put input thing earlier.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping in.
So, I didn't actually realize. Oh, all letting me go back. Let's see if this leads us somewhere. I did that completely by accident, but I guess the game accounted for it. Yeah, this door's not even open, so I'm supposed to be doing this. Dang, they really took into account a lot of stuff that player might do if accidentally going in and back. Oh. You are now leaving. Gate pod, floor 760. Alright, so it's in 760, so I have to just go up one set of floors. Although, it's look exactly the same. They might just be recycling assets to be frugal, though. Escape pod, launch bay. I was gonna say, I'm actually moving forward, but yeah, I clearly am going by that. Here it is, the escape pod. I was trying to just get a bucket out there. The bucket must be free. Right, now that we know this ending exists, we also have to do it
All of
without
his
the bucket.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Maybe the accept input was necessary, but it looks like it's not showing up anymore.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Alright, we're gonna have to ignore the... Oh, the bucket's gone! Because we helped it escape.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Alright, I think Keyword think we should be
Yet
able to do
there
the
was
ending
not a
without
single
the
person
bucket as
here
well, so
either.
let's see how that goes.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Might need to do the first. That one then.
Stepping in.
Yep, there we go. Now I believe we get to do the escape pod on our own. Since it seems the bucket made it out safely. Interesting that the narrator doesn't have anything to say about this or the previous one. Interesting. Bahad Bay. I'm not sure why an office building would require an escape pod, but I guess it's precisely what we need to get out of here, right? I know this is a fun game when this isn't even the first thing I've done accidentally to discover an entirely new ending, so yeah, pretty neat. They have all these little secrets here. 758. Nine. Here we are, escape pad launch bay. Wow, this is quite a long hallway. Oh, yeah. There it is, the escape pod. We can finally get out of here. Oh, it just ended. To be honest, that was a little anticlimactic. Although I suppose with all the other anticlimactic endings, it's not really a case of, it's not really a big deal, because there's definitely a lot of unique endings here, and an anticlimactic one is just another one on the list, so not really bothered here. Now, at least we get the bucket back, so let's go do that next. I remember now.
And try not to lose this one too, you dolt.
Try not to lose this one too, you dolt. Alright, this time I think I have to choose to sacrifice the,
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Alright, this time I need to
This
choose
was
to
not
sacrifice the
correct way to
bucket,
the
I
meeting
think,
room.
so let's see how that
Stanley
works.
had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the... And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's
The
this
doll from
bucket
the
you're
fake
carrying around
ending, the
everywhere.
office
The
computer.
bucket isn't even from
the
the
baby
original
from
Stanley
the
Parable.
game.
It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the adventure line? We could make the adventure line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it. Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket.
Yeah, it's not letting me even shoot. It's not even letting me.
Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
I don't know why I find this ending so funny, but I think it's my favorite one.
My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spell-binding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Alright, so it won't let me throw the bucket in there, just has the bucket look at me in that weird way, and I can't even toss it in.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
Am I missing something? Do you think it'd be a problem if I were to look up anything, whatever's left that I still need to do in here? Because it looks like I've done most of it, and while I'm sure there's a few things I've missed, this is a bit of a short and sweet game, especially compared to some of the others I've done, so... Alright, I'm gonna take a look real quick, see if there's anything else I can do at the moment. Stanley... Oh, there's a flowchart. I'll use that to see if what I'm missing exactly. What room? Back here, isn't it? And that's a cubicle, not a window. It must be some other door. The numbers are going down. I can't be going.
Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace, protective yet delicate, assertive yet compassionate.
That should be it. How odd. Alright, I'll take a look here. Now, let's see here. Which one haven't I done yet? It says here the baby game actually does have an alternate ending if you do play for 4 hours like he suggested, but I apologize, but I'm not going to be streaming that game for 4 hours in a row. Well, it seems there is an ending. Alright, so for this one I do need to go through the
Stanley
boss's
clutched the
secret
bucket
room,
tightly to
so
his
let's
chest
do precisely
and
that.
entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Down. Office.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Chair here. Ah.
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall.
Okay.
Now, what to do next, Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves
They make it
as
into
well,
an apartment.
and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis.
Paninis.
But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path.
No.
It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Alright, so now I need to fall off there without the bucket and see how that changes things.
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct? Excellent. Your order will arrive shortly. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
That is quite a few cardboard boxes, but I suppose a company has a lot of use for them. Sure the... Alright. Next we'll be jumping...
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
He survived the fall because the bucket, despite it being made out of solid metal, cushioned his
Yet
fall.
there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Calming New Age music. I'm the most expensive boss. Hey, Blanche.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Chair fall off. 2%. Oh, I'm fine.
Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the Mind Control Facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it.
Sounds about right of how those work.
Very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours, so here you go. New content. You can call it the Bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave? New content? Always more content, more content, more. And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game, with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game. It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special you are. We call this track, Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Well done.
Good job, you did it. Good job. 3, 2, 1. Good job, you made it to the bottom of the mind control facility.
Well, I really like when they take bugs like this and decide to expand on it like they did here. But I guess it would make sense. Yeah, I didn't even think about climbing past there, but it would make sense someone would eventually figure that out.
Chase your dreams. Railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
This is a very specific song, isn't it?
Good job, you did it.
I'm gonna look one last.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Oh, the boxes from the
Stanley decided to go to the meeting.
the boxes from the
Perhaps
delivery
he'd
are here.
surprise
That's
Stanley.
hilarious. I guess I should have figured this would be what ended up happening, but that works for me. Oh, it's all over in here too. Alright, let's see here. The next level of epilogue. Unlock. Okay. Alright, I need to restart the game. Alright, so I'll need to restart the game a few times to get the epilogue on here, so I'm going to do precisely that. Alright, this will be part 3. I need to do it 2 more times after this. I don't know if I have to actually start it, but I'll be doing that. Ah, your favorite time of day, 420. Most obvious joke I could have made, but... Or could you simply not resist giving me the correct time again? After all, I know much by saying it correctly. Now I'm curious what it is. Let's use the slider to find out. You know, what can I say regardless of the accuracy? I'm having a great time adjusting these settings. I feel like I'm learning more about you now. You like things to be set. Good to collect data. Wish I had more sliders, but I've gone through all the ones I have. Perhaps I can invent some new sliders. Be hard. Let me whip up a couple. Be ready by next time you boot up the game.
All of
Sadly,
his
the boxes
co-workers
are
were
all
gone.
gone.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I might. Alright, we're going to quit desktop and restart the game again. And it says there's going to be new sliders next time, so let's find out. These crows. So the dog and cat are friends. It says friends, not lovers, so can't go too far. The number 5 becomes number 9. The slider until you stop adjusting the slider. These two made-up words is most appealing to you. Aquabonical is sounds funny to say, but Scrum Tush is a bit simpler and easier to say. So let's go. Please don't adjust the slider. What time it is right now? Is the time that is right now the correct time? I'm pretty sure. There's time anyway. That's not a yes or no question, but here we go. You haven't told me? Oh yeah, there's a lot of things I haven't shared. Help. Sure. Why not? Back. Sure, I need to do this, I think, one more time, since this is the 4th time I've opened the game. I have to
All
say,
of
this
his
is an
co-workers
absolutely
were gone.
creative game.
What
I
could it
love it.
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Like with the Forgotten City, it's one of those games that I went through pretty quickly, but it's definitely one of the more memorable ones I've had this year so far. Alright, let's quit desktop, and I think this will be the last time, so let's find out. Where's Crow? Does anyone truly... Of course they don't. Nobody knows anything. You and I don't even know each other. We're like strangers. Sure, I've adjusted all the game settings to your exact specifications, but who hasn't? This is what I do, like, you know, a day job, and now that job is over. No more information for me to gather. I've collected all data that I can. I still don't really know you, and you don't even know me. Neither of us knows what time even is. I guess some things are just unsettable. But if I'm being totally honest, the clock doesn't do anything in the game anyway. You won't have me when the game starts next time, but that's okay. Video games are meant to be played alone. You like being alone. That's maybe the only information I really learned. Well, it's time for me to leave. Still one more thing I need to adjust, but it may take a little time. Not really in my job description, but that's okay. Perhaps you'll see me again. You can find me. Talk soon. Here we are. This is what I was... The epilogue. Oh, right, the Stanley Parable 2 thing was meant to be a... They said there'd be an epilogue. Many, many years later. Well, technically it's almost 10 years from... Oh, so this is a continuation of the, other one from the, Oh, this is a continuation of the skip button timeline. Ooh, nah. All the office chairs and the dust storms. Moon is now full. basically just being a deserted wasteland, it actually looks quite nice. Well, I guess it also helps they're doing a lot of interesting lighting effects. Aw, the memories. Even it has crumbled to dust in all the what's likely centuries since Stanley Parable 2. That's a generator. That means someone's still in here. Someone needs something. Loving memory. The Stanley Parable 2. Powering the lights and what's this? Log. The Stanley Parable 2. Like so many, I enjoyed my time with the original Stanley Parable, which underscores how truly disappointed I am with the sequel. Wait a minute, the Cookie 9, wasn't this the guy who said he didn't like Stanley Parable 1? Oh, that's funny. I'm sure that's supposed to be commentary on how people, But then again, minds can change over time, I guess. It's possible he didn't like when he first dropped the review, but then later changed his mind. And the first game teamed with originality, 2 was uninspired, dull, uninspired, and often insulting the fan base. Rather than expand what made the first enjoyable, it veers off into territory no one asked for. An infinitely deep hole. Who cares? Where are the new endings? What about the enjoyable bits, like the adventure line? Instead, we got a side quest collecting figurines. Even this diversion is incomplete. Collecting all of them gives you nothing. I must say, though, I found the bucket to be quite comforting and a welcome reprieve. Oh, what's this? Cat dog born. Scientists confirm hybrid species. Ah, the prophecy of cat dog has been fulfilled. Oh, that's where I came in from. Yeah, you can tell because when you exit here, it goes right into Cookie Nine's blog. Uncompromising gaming content. I haven't been blogging much. SNR. Talk about sequels. Go guy on pre. Comments. Goblin. Archives. Oh, 2027 seems to be when game released, I guess. Protected post. Oops. Bumped the mic there. Sorry about that. Jimmy from Jimmy. In Neutron Boy Genius is highly approving of this. Stanley Parable developers. No more spin-offs, no more sequels. And the Stanley Parable launched a massive success in 2013. Its creators made plans to build the property to a full franchise, but disastrous critical and commercial reception. Stanley Parable 2 has prompted the developers to rethink their ambitions and as outlined in a press release they published today. It's clear that July 9th. Oh, it doesn't list the year. Interesting. It's clear that Stanley Parable was just not what more Stanley Parable is just not what the fans want. We thought we could have a vision for the series that players would be excited about, yet it turns this could not be further from the truth. The press release goes on to say, promise to preserve the artistic integrity of the original game and to stop assaulting fans with reckless and insulting creative visions. The word sorry appears more than 25 times. Aggregate viewer scores in video game history. Lowest Wait, Stanley Parable 2 got the lowest aggregate view scores in video game history? How? There's no possible way it could be worse than Diablo Immortal. Actually, I guess that's not a bit fair. I need something that's not going to age poorly. In which case, I probably wanted to crap on the Warcraft 3 remake because as far as I'm aware, that's the only remake that's so terrible it actively ruined the original. By which I mean they actively took down the original and forced you to play the new version. So, yeah. It's one of the few cases where, well, at least the original doesn't exist. At least the original still exists, doesn't apply, because, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the crapping on the Warcraft 3 remake for this as the joke for here, because I think that one's probably gonna stand the test of time, because a game getting the lowest aggregate review scores, that's pretty common, but a game so terrible it actively ruins the original, that's actually kind of impressive in a stupid sort of way.
Jim.
Ah, there's even more of these to collect. There's 8 this time. 26 out of 6. I imagine if I replay, I can get that to go up even higher, because, well, it's either a commentary on the meaninglessness of collectibles, or it's just a joke, or both. Remember, the two are not mutually exclusive. Thank you for enjoying the new content. I did enjoy this new content, Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe developers. It was a genuinely fun game. Hello again. It's nice to see you. It's the person from before. It's terrible to learn there will never be another Stanley Parable. Do you read what the developer said? Preserve the integrity? What nonsense. Stanley Parable's not sacred. We do not need to protect it. We're the legacy. Let's make it until the sun explodes. Let's run this franchise to the ground, drag it through the mud. And if people hate it, who cares? See, that's what the narrator's problem. He's so obsessed with what people think of his work. Don't make his mistake. Don't cling to legacy. Let it burn. It's not hard. In fact, let me show you. Together we're going to make the Stanley Parable 3. Simple. All we do is change the number on the game title screen. We also need a really dumb subtitle, something loud and gaudy. Go ahead, try combining random words together to make a new title. Printer Jam makes me think of Paper Mario, Mario and Luigi Paint for Jam. Absurd. I love it. Each time we restart the game, we'll advance the number, and we'll pick a new subtitle. That way, the Stanley Parable can never end, and nothing in the game itself will change either. Adding more content sounds like work. No need to do that. It'll be the same content, recycled again and again and again with a new title screen. Ah, the EA method of game development. What do you say? Okay, yeah. Okay, that was mean. I mean, I'm not gonna apologize for it, but I'll admit it was mean. I like it, but I want you to say it as well. Why not? Good, then a new sequel each time. And you know what? You found faith in my idea. I feel like giving you something. See, I've noticed the narrator never found a way to give you the broken achievement, did he? Of course not. Wouldn't expect him to know how. It's bothering me, so let's just fix that. Alright, the achievement machine is fixed. See, I'm on your side. We're gonna keep this train rolling. Stanley Parable cannot end. It can only spiral in on itself forever. The Stanley Parables all the way down. I'll keep the road turning. Are you ready? Great, there's only one last thing we need to do. Enter the current time. I don't think it matters, honestly, so... Please adjust the slider. Thank you, please. Stanley. Hidden Paper Jam. Oh. And I guess that's everything that would not be massively tedious, since stuff like the 4-hour ending. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate the devs went through the effort to make sure that ending exists in case anyone was a mad lad enough to actually do that. I might do it. Well, no, I'm not going to do it off stream. I'm afraid I don't have the patience for that, but maybe if I'm especially bored one day, but not on stream. But yeah, that was the Stanley Parable. Ultra Deluxe Edition. Well, with the re-release here, I'm glad I was able to to play this classic for the first time with the new content, and I genuinely think it was really good new content as well. The only thing I really went in knowing about this game was that many people described it as a walking simulator, and while I can see where that's coming from, I don't think that's a bad thing. More specifically, I do think that the interactive parts to the game are... The game has to be a game in order to work, is what I'm getting at. It's not something they could make a book or movie, like some other walking simulators, which I think is to its benefits, because being able to choose to actively listen to the narrator, defy the narrator, or even do something completely off the wall, like abuse a glitch to get out of bounds, is just really neat. And absolutely bonkers with the development. It was absolutely... was absolutely delightful. And I guess that'll be all for tonight. Until next time, thank you for watching, hope you had a good time. I save these VODs as long as Twitch allows, or if you want to check out some of my older stuff, there's a link to my YouTube account in my About page. Or if you're watching this on YouTube after it uploads there, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. You're statistically more likely to do so if I mention it. Thank you, and I'll see you later.